Okay, Mark, I reviewed the property management agreement. I checked you guys out online. I like your Google reviews. Everything looks good. I want to go ahead and hire you to manage my rental property. Oh, by the way, I want to make sure you use my vendor. Use my guy on all plumbing. It's a conversation we had for the upteenth time just a few days ago, and you've probably had it as well with a prospective owner client who everything's going great, and you're ready to step into that business relationship, and then they drop that bomb on you. I want to make sure you use my vendor. And what do you do? Because you're at the final stage there and you're ready to work together. Do you blow up the deal and say, absolutely not, I will only use my preferred vendors? Or do you just roll over and say, okay, well, give me the number, whoever you want me to call, I'll call them. What do you do? Well, let me give you a few thoughts and suggestions on some best practices that can balance this out, keep you from losing a great owner client, but also ensure that you're holding to your standards when it comes to maintenance in property. So big picture is this: you're going to say and you're going to do, hey, absolutely, we'll certainly consider that, but there's a few conditions in order for us to use your favorite vendor, Mr. Owner Client. So we're always looking for great vendors, and we are. Some of the best vendors we've found have been recommendations from owner clients. So don't just get too turned off there. If they've got a great plumber, they've got a great carpenter, wonderful. Please, please, please. We're always looking for good vendors. Tell me about them. Make me an introduction. Would love to connect with them and see if I can get them on my approved vendor list. Now, to be on my approved vendor list, they do need to be licensed and they do need to be insured. I can't send out people to do work on properties that aren't properly licensed, that aren't properly insured, because if I do and something happens, it can put you at a tremendous amount of risk. It can put your property at a tremendous amount of legal risk, your tenant and me at a tremendous amount of legal risk. And one of the reasons you hire me is to minimize and to mitigate the risk that you and your property are under by renting it out. So I do need to make sure that they're licensed and insured, but I'm sure they are. And then we do qualify all of our vendors on 3 criteria. On price, we want competitive pricing. On quality of work, they've got to do really good quality of work. And on timeliness, they've got to be where they're going to be quickly. So if we can find someone who meets our criteria, who is licensed and insured, by all means, I would love to talk with them, and I'd love to get them on our approved vendor list. And then they say this: that's fine, Mark, but I want you to use my guy. I don't know if he's licensed or not. I don't really care. It's my guy. He owes me a few favors. I want you to use him every time. And then they stop. Well, why do they want you to use them every time? And what are these favors that they owe? Anyway, we found out that the favors are probably the fact that this vendor was an introduction from the gentleman's ex-wife's cellmate's probation officer's cousin who owes him a favor. That's where these preferred vendors are coming from. So we want to be cautious on who we're giving access to the properties to, which I didn't even talk about that, but we need to make sure that we're cautious on that. So before I tell you how to answer this question, I want to thank the sponsor for this month's video, Pestshare. One thing we can't get wrong when it comes to vendors and maintenance and who we're sending out is to take care of pest issues if and when they arise. Wouldn't it be great to have pest control on demand in all of your rental properties across the board? That's what Pestshare does for you. You can build it into your resident benefit package, which means it becomes partially an income stream to you. The cost is covered within the monthly rent or within the monthly fee that you structure and put in place. It's a great benefit to be able to rent your properties faster, because you tell your tenants, hey, if you ever have a pest issue, no problem, log in, we'll get it taken care of. You tell your owner clients, it's a built-in benefit to them and their property, protects their property, helps your properties get rented faster, your tenants like it. It's one of those wins all the way around. Reach out to my friends at Pestshare, good folks. I know these folks. Jump on our podcast. We had a fun podcast interview I did with their owner there. Listen to that. Pestshare, get the demo. Tell them Mark sent you. You will be glad that you did that. Okay, so back to the, hey, use my guy, my gal, no matter what. Well, you've got a decision to make there, don't you? At a minimum, here's what I would recommend. You'd say, well, here's what I can do. Now, I still go back to the first things we said. I think you need to make sure they're licensed and insured. But if you're like, no, you know what, Mark, I'm going to do away with that. I'm going to just tell them yes. Okay, well, then at least do this. You tell them this. Well, here's what I can do. I can go ahead and enter them in our system as the preferred vendor so that when a call comes in, we will do our best to reach out to them first, but this is real important. But I can't guarantee we will use them. Well, what do you mean you can't guarantee we'll use them? Well, because our maintenance process is very structured and it's very fast and systematized. Because when something breaks and there's water running, we need to jump quickly to protect you and your property and your tenant. So when that happens, what we can do is we can put this in the system. But if this guy doesn't answer his phone because he was hungover that morning, we're going on to the next one. I can't just like pause and wait everything, hold everything because you want to use Larry. We just can't make that guarantee. Now, if they're okay with that, if the owner's okay with that, then maybe move forward. If that's a deal killer, then I recommend you don't work with them. If they're like, no, that you keep calling Larry until he wakes up and gets sober and heads over there, then don't use Larry. That's not the owner client you want to work with. But if the owner's at least rational enough to be like, well, okay, just do the best you can, then you have a decision to make. But at least say that. Don't guarantee you will use it because you know what's going to happen, my friends. You're going to mean well and you're going to call Larry, or maybe you forgot to call Larry, or maybe the call came in the middle of the night. And so your service just called out the best plumbing company. And the next day the owner calls like, why didn't you call Larry? And you're like, oh, I didn't see it in the note field of the tenant, sir. Oh, I was going to try to remember that one. I forgot. And now guess who's paying for the work order? You are. Because why? You made an exception, you tried to be a nice guy, and it came back to bite you. So have this in place for what you're going to do there. Now, one sidebar to that works well for us is simply this. If an owner's like wavering and they're like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with you using your own folks. Mr. Owner, please do understand this. When it comes to turnovers, you can be as involved as you would like to be, and you can use whatever vendors you want to use. When it comes to occupied properties, when tenants are living in there, we do need a high degree of control over who's accessing the property, what they're doing, when they're doing it. But when it's vacant, knock yourself out. Use Larry, use whoever you want to use, take as much time as you want to, do it all yourself. But when it's occupied, we've got to control it. What we find is that most of the times when owner clients can be told that hey, at least I can do my own turns, that's typically good enough for them because that's when a lot of the maintenance expenses are incurred, is on expensive turnovers that way. Hey, my friends, I hope that was helpful. How else can we be of service to you? Jump on our website, pmbuild.com, where we've got more information than you will ever need, dedicated to helping you build, grow, and protect your property management company. Until next time, and as always, I wish you success.